This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, welcome to the WWE Podcast Monday Night Raw Review. I've got a brand new guest co-host, Jamie. She'll be joining me in just a minute. Great conversation. Always fun to bring on new voices and new perspectives and have someone on that doesn't always agree with everything you say. And that's fun, right? When you have someone you can respectfully disagree with and not, do it in a way that is, not fun to listen to and is abrasive and all that. That's not the conversation we had. We had just a very fun wrestling conversation about Monday Night Raw, where things are going, and what could happen to these programs, as I think a lot of them are concluding at Elimination Chamber. So we have got a really fun review, about an hour. Jamie and I talked, and I think you'll enjoy this one. She had some kids with her, okay? So if you hear little kiddos running up in the background towards the end of the audio, so no worries there. But all right, one thing before we get going, Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan, they are doing the email portion of the mailbag tomorrow. So get your emails in to us here at mailbag@wwepodcast.com. They're going straight to Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan, who will be taking care of the mailbag. As far as emails go, I'll still be doing voicemails, so you can send them to me. Again, 3 minutes or less on the voicemails. If you go over and you send me a voicemail through email, I'll cut it off at 3 minutes. I got to be a hard ass on that one because things are going to get crazy with WrestleMania season. So if you send me an email with a voicemail that's 3 minutes or more, over 3 minutes, I'm going to have to cut it off at 3, just to be fair to everyone else. And other than that, you can call in on Google Voice, which is what I use. It'll cut you off automatically at 3 minutes. So, but it's also a great time as WrestleMania season in Chamber is approaching to go VIP on our website at wwepodcast.com, or you can go to Apple Podcasts and get 1 week for free, totally ad-free with every show we do. And then it's $2.99 a month or $30 for the entire year. Or you can go to patreon.com/WWPodcast and get yourself in the door for just $1 a month on Patreon, and also get access to our Discord server that'll be live. It's always live for wrestling chat and for patrons only, but it'll be even more fun during the event of Chamber to converse with other wrestling fans and hear their in-person, or rather their live feedback as the show is going on. So, all right, that's my plug for my show, and I hope you guys enjoy this. I'll be back tomorrow with the voicemail portion of the show. Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan will take care of the other half. Until then, guys, take care. All right, everybody, welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Tonight, we've got a brand new guest co-host here with us tonight, patron of the show. Jamie is with us for the very first time to cover the final Raw before the Elimination Chamber that comes to us Saturday night. These Saturday pay-per-views I love it. And we're going to experience the final one before WrestleMania with a lot on the line. And Jamie, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Well, I have to ask, as is customary with new guest co-hosts on the show, I was, and I am very interested in first of all, how did you get into wrestling to begin with?
I remember my dad watching whenever I was like maybe 7, 8 years old. He was really into like Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash, those kind of guys. And then I started watching around in middle school. I really got into it. The Hardys and Lita were my favorites. That really got me into wrestling. And we would go to shows whenever they would come local. I live in Alabama, so I've been to 2 episodes of SmackDown and like a few house shows. But I really just fell in love with the athleticism, the story. I mean, there are some talented men and women in the WWE, and they can tell a heck of a story. So that's what got me into it.
Cool. It sounds like you and I are. I'm not going to ask your age, but if you're telling me that middle school was when the Hardys and Lita were competing, I think we may be in the same boat there. So that's awesome. And you've been watching, pretty steadily ever since, or did you take a break at any point between, when you started and now?
I took a break for maybe about 2 years, and I got back into it. And I started watching a little less around the pandemic. The type of work that I'm in, we were pretty busy, so I didn't get to do much of that. But I took a little 2-year break, but other than that, I've been pretty steady watching.
Well, the pandemic era, I mean, you didn't miss a whole lot. I mean, no fault of WWE. If you're going to take any kind of break, that was the best possible time to do it. It was awkward. I'm sure you've seen some of the shows since. It's just bizarre when there's no fans in the arena, and it's a time that I don't want to ever go back to. Hopefully we never do. But before we dive into Raw, and before we dive into maybe a little bit of the Chamber, I have to ask, when you think about wrestling and you look back at some of your best memories and some of the things that you just, that you will forever be, it'll forever be a part of your wrestling fandom, some moment that was just like, man, this is why I love this stuff. Do you have a few of those memories that you could share?
One is kind of a silly memory, but my mom got us kind of close to the stage at a show. I believe it was SmackDown, and I saw the Big Show, and he was humongous. I didn't know people were actually that big. Exaggerating, or it was the camera or something. He was really that big. And that just stuck out. And this guy is moving, and he is huge. So it just was kind of cool to me seeing somebody, just kind of compared to my little middle school frame.
It is quite a shock when you see the Big Show for the first time in real life. It is otherworldly, and I'm with you. I mean, I remember seeing it for the first time, and I wasn't as close as you were. Just seeing that man in person, it's just, he is literally larger than life. Other guys have come along similar in size, but the Big Show just has a presence about him, and you definitely, and especially as you said, if you're in middle school age, you're like, what, ages like 11 to 13 or something like that. I mean, you're even more impressionable at that age.
Yeah, you get a pain in your neck trying to look up at him. He's so big.
Exactly. All right. Well, very good. I'm glad to have you here. And, let's just jump in and just kind of a high-level look at the way things are right now in WWE. As the Chamber is coming to us Saturday night, how are you feeling generally about the way things are going in WWE as a whole?
This is honestly a very confusing pay-per-view for me. There's so many different ways that all of the matches can go. And honestly, I kind of like it. I know that Sami is not going to walk out but everything else, like the U.S. title match, I feel like Austin Theory will retain, but there's so many options there. Like, you could put some gold on Judgment Day. You could pull the trigger on Montez. It's so many different ways that things can go, and it's very interesting.
I would agree, and I think WWE did a really nice job this past Monday night, at least trying to get us to believe that, maybe Sami Zayn could win. That segment that he had with Cody, and we'll get to that. That was a massive part of Monday Night Raw, an unexpected part of Raw that I never thought they'd actually do. We'll get to that, but I think they did a nice job of making you believe that, wait a minute, maybe Sami does have a chance. And because everyone is looking past Sami and Roman as much as we've anticipated it, we all unanimously agree that Sami Zayn is probably not going to win, and it's going to be Cody and Roman at Mania. But this week, I think things, you could make a case, have possibly changed, or maybe they used it as kind of a test to see how the fans would react. But without kind of giving away the farm here, do you think that ultimately there's any chance, even this past week of Raw and what happened with Cody, you think there's any chance that Sami does walk away from Elimination Chamber as champion?
I don't see it. But this would be a great opportunity for him. Like being in his hometown, and then I don't know if he'll get any more popular than he is now. I mean, this would be a wonderful time in his career they need to strike while the iron is hot. But with the whole Cody situation, it's just, I don't see it.
Yeah.
But I do see the conversation that they had in the ring. I think that sets up an alliance between them. And I think that Sami is going to help Cody at WrestleMania. I could see them very well helping one another. Kind of a little bit of protection against the bloodline.
Yeah. No, I can't dispute that. There's so much here on the line, so much that's going to be cleared up on Saturday night, where all of the conjecture, all of the possibilities and spiderweb of things that could happen, from The Rock to Stone Cold to Cody to Sami. Who is going to face Roman at Mania? What's it going to look like? Is it a triple threat? Is it one-on-one? Like, who's in? Who's out? Hopefully we get all the answers that we've been wanting to know what the card of or the match of the championship is going to be at Chamber. So we've got a lot to look forward to. But before we dive deep into that, I want to talk about Raw. From when it opened, right? We got Becky Lynch coming out, and she thanked Lita for having her back in the match last week, and a Lita chant broke out. Lynch then talked about the Chamber and how she said she loves to fight her way into things, and she tried to fight her way into the Chamber match. Bayley comes out, and Bayley said that Lynch was a bigger idiot than the fans, and if she thought she was getting into the Chamber after what she pulled the week before, you've got another thing coming. And eventually this led to Bianca Belair coming out and saying that, she wants to fight the best of the best, and she proposed a match to Adam Pearce and said, hey, why don't we make a triple threat? And Pearce said, okay, great. If either Bayley or Becky wins, they're both added to the Chamber. And if Bianca wins, neither are added to the Chamber. How did you feel about not the match yet, but just the open of the show, the setup of the match, just the whole beginning?
I enjoyed the back and forth between Bayley and Becky. The meshing of the Bayley peg leg was pretty funny to me. Bayley, her character is just getting kind of stale to me. I don't know if I'm the only one. I mean, she can go in the ring, but she's had so many shots at Bianca. It's just kind of getting into Sonya Deville territory for me. Like, every week you're coming out wanting a title shot. Like, you had so many opportunities. It's just, I kind of want to see this for the up-and-comers. I want to see Raquel Rodriguez in there. I mean, even seeing Bianca and Carmella go. I mean, just something different than the back and forth between Bayley and Bianca, with Damage Control jumping in, and it's kind of getting a little dull for me. So I was hoping that she didn't get into the Chamber.
Yeah, no, I mean, but typically when you look at a setup like this, you're thinking, well, one of them is going to win. They're definitely being added to the Chamber. Otherwise, why would they have this match? And obviously we saw at the end of Raw with the main event, that wasn't the case. So I was duped. I figured for sure they're getting in the Chamber and it'll start out as a triple threat. And that didn't happen. And we'll talk about the match a little bit later. But my only problem with this, beyond the note that you said of, hey, we're getting a little bored of Becky, I'm with you too. I liked her kind of over the top gimmick of, the shorter hair and the bizarre outfits. I mean, apparently her and Seth shop at the same store, wherever the hell that is. And I just feel like she immediately switched back to the man character when she went back to being a babyface. And I'm like, why? Like, it felt like a regression. I feel like she kind of matured out of that man gimmick and into this kind of evolved version of herself. And then she went immediately back to being the man, put hair extensions back in, and it's like it's 2019 again. It feels like a little bit of a regression for Becky in terms of character and even look.
Yeah, I dug the short hair Becky, the heel Becky, for sure. I liked it.
And Bianca, or rather Bayley too. I mean, Bayley, has felt like she's kind of lost her way recently too, and her and Becky's quote unquote feud over the last couple of months hasn't really interested me. And seeing these two fight once again to compete in in this matchup at the Chamber was, at least there was something on the line. But when you're thinking about it, this really made no sense. This match made no sense on a couple of levels. Number one, why would Becky and Bayley even want to fight one another when all they have to do is just get a quick pin on the other or just immediately tap the other person out and boom, they're both in the Chamber? Like, why are you guys even competing? Why wouldn't you team up at the very least and take out Bianca Belair? I mean, like, what is in it for both of you to fight one another? Nothing.
Yep. Have a common goal. Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
And furthermore, when you look at Bianca Belair, who said, I want to fight the best of the best, well, if you want to do that and you're trying to win the match in the main event, that would prevent you from doing the very thing you said you were going to do. Like, why would you, if you said you like this matchup, you want to fight the best of the best at the Chamber, and you're inviting all comers, well, if you win this triple threat, that very thing that you said you wanted won't happen. So, like, why are you in this match? It was a weird, I understand they're three big names. It's never a bad match with these three. But it just, on like three different levels, it didn't make sense. But ultimately, the match, the Chamber didn't change. So the path to WrestleMania for both Bayley and Becky is kind of up in the air. Like, what do you think? If you have any thoughts, I don't know, or predictions, I really don't know. With this loss with Becky and Bayley, like, where do you think they go come WrestleMania? I mean, they're out of the Chamber. They're not in the title picture, seemingly. You have any idea?
I don't see them doing anything, honestly, but I read online on some site that they were talking about Lita and Trish and Becky versus Damage Control for WrestleMania. And I can kind of see that, but it doesn't really make sense to bring them back. I don't see them being on the roster or being, permanent wrestlers or not. So it's just, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, but I will say I can't imagine like them not being at WrestleMania at all. They have to be doing something. And Lita being involved last week does seem to plant the seed of Lita being involved at WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania season. They bring out the stars, that kind of thing. So if they don't do that, I honestly don't know what they do. I mean, compete in the women's battle royal, that means nothing. I don't know. I mean, really. So
I don't
think
for it. I'm kind of shocked that Damage Control is still together, because to me, you see all the failed opportunities with Bayley versus Bianca. I mean, what kind of leader of the group doesn't have any gold of her own? Like, it's like they're a little more successful than she is. So it just kind of seems like, what is Bayley really doing for you guys except making you guys minions in her quest for a championship that keeps eluding her?
Well, to be fair, I mean, Dakota Kai and Io Sky really don't have a championship either. I mean, the way that they treat the women's tag team championships, it means almost nothing anyway. So there is that too, which is sad. But all right, well, let's continue on here with Monday Night Raw. And up next, we did get the Judgment Day speaking with Byron Saxton and how he spoke about winning the U.S. title in the Chamber. And Dom spoke about Mommy, which is always hilarious, and talking about how he quote unquote, ran his block in prison, which I can't get enough of Dominic talking about prison. It is, I don't know. Do you enjoy this as well?
Yeah, Dom has come a long way. Like, I never thought that his joining the Judgment Day would turn into like a comedy angle, but yeah, I dig it. I mean, he's a lot better than he was months ago before he got with Judgment Day. So just the progression, I think, is pretty good. The promos are good. I mean, still waiting on Ray to beat him up, but
yeah, that's coming. I mean,
coming.
It's got to be in the next few weeks, you would imagine. Yeah. All right. Then we get the Street Profits taking on Finn Balor and Damian Priest in a tag team matchup here, and the end of this, it wasn't a long match, and the Street Profits took a clean loss here, and I don't know about you. First of all, the matchup was fine. Nothing to write home about, nothing memorable, just a, kind of a standard, fine, technically sound match. But the more interesting story to me on this, and maybe you have another idea, is the Street Profits are on kind of a losing streak, and there seems to be some tension. And Montez Ford being in the U.S. title chamber on Saturday, and Angelo Dawkins not being there could also add to the friction that ultimately would lead to the split up of the Street Profits. Do you think that's forthcoming, or maybe I'm reading too much into this?
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking with the U.S. Championship Elimination Chamber. I mean, if he was to win, if Montez Ford was to win, that's definitely going to show the cracks in Street Profits, and I can see that leading to a breakup. I think that would kind of be like the last nail in the coffin. I mean, Dawkins is not doing well in his solo efforts, and I could see that being something to put forward, the breakup of the Street Profits.
I mean, yeah, Montez Ford's the star. I mean, Montez Ford is I think a future WWE champion. I really believe that. I think he has the charisma, he's got the athleticism, he's got the look, he's the whole package. So, all right. But after the match, we got Priest hitting Ford with a kick, and then Edge music played, and he ran to the ring to help the Street Profits. Beth Phoenix also joined in, and she was about to hit her finish on Dom, the Glam Slam, and that's when Mommy showed up and hit Beth Phoenix from behind and hit Riptide, and then that's kind of the finish to that. And I'm ready for Edge and Beth Phoenix to move on. I have to say, like I feel like I've been watching Edge fight the Judgment Day since like last WrestleMania. It feels so long because he keeps returning. After they beat him up, he'll take 3 months off, and then he'll return, and they'll beat him up, and he'll return. Like, it just feels like so long. I'm a massive Edge fan. I like Beth Phoenix, but I don't know. To me, this is the conclusion. It better be the final match with this group, and that leaves Edge kind of open for WrestleMania as well. Did you enjoy that segment with Edge and Beth Phoenix returning and to take on, or really just to kind of fend off Mommy, but Rhea Ripley ends up standing tall?
Yeah, I did. I could see them losing at the Elimination Chamber, Beth and Edge, and I don't really know what they're going to do outside of that. Like, I don't know if they're mainstays on the roster or what they're going to do. But I could see that really slowing down Rhea's momentum, losing that match at the Elimination Chamber. So I don't know how that one's going to go either. To me, it's getting a little stale too. Edge is the comeback king. So, I mean, he pops up and does his thing. And then I don't see a spot for him on the roster. I mean, he's a legend, but I don't know what he's supposed to do outside of feuding with Judgment Day.
The only thing I can think of is with John Cena rumored to be coming back, perhaps John Cena versus Edge. That's a storied program that goes back to like mid-2000s, late 2000s, and they had some amazing matchups.
I would love to see it. I didn't think about that one. That would
the only problem is you have Austin Theory, that everyone has believed that Austin Theory and John Cena is happening for the U.S. title. So there is that. I don't know. I kind of feel like Edge and John Cena is a better matchup, even though Theory could benefit from it. Theory can work great with anybody and have a great match with anybody. I don't think John Cena needs to be challenging for a U.S. title at this stage in his career when anytime a title's on the line and a legend returns, there's a 0% chance of them winning the belt. So it kind of gives away the finish. So I don't know. If I had to vote, Edge and John Cena would be my vote for WrestleMania.
Would be awesome. I'd really like to see that match. Edge can still go, man, and I know John Cena can. I mean, from that match with KO versus the Bloodline, I mean, I'd love to see it.
Well, I don't mean to get y'all hyped up. I've heard nothing. Okay, like I've heard nothing. I'm not trying to start anything. This is just my own brain. So scary place. Oh my goodness.
Like going on.
Yeah. Certainly, my wife would have a lot to say about that. All right. Then we got the next matchup here. We got, actually, it wasn't a matchup. It was the contract signing. This is the contract signing between Lashley and Lesnar for, well, nothing, just pride. And the rubber match in their hopefully their only, or rather their final matchup in their series here, because I'm kind of over Brock and Bobby. If you listen to the show, I've kind of been consistent on that, where they've had no story whatsoever, which I'm not a fan of. They kind of lazily put this together, which is disappointing. There's no backstory other than just they're two big guys that haven't fought together before, and okay, that's cool, but like they haven't given us any tangible reason that they're even competing at all. The matchup I'm sure will be fine. The program has been very back and forth. Lashley has gotten 2 up on Lesnar, at least in terms of eliminating him from the Rumble, beating him at the previous, I think, Royal Rumble, and then Brock Lesnar beat him the last time, but Lashley left him laying. It's just like, I don't know what to make of all this, other than just it's going to be a smash mouth in your face program and matchup. Lashley did finally sign the contract after playing more of a heel role this week. The roles seem to be much more established this week, with Lashley playing kind of the hesitant heel to Lesnar, and he ends up spearing Lesnar and signing it. What do you make of all this, the contract signing and the match?
I like the heel work with Bobby Lashley. I kind of see the seeds getting planted of a Hurt Business reunion. That's like the only takeaway I think we could probably get from the Elimination Chamber match. It's just two big dudes fighting. Mm-hmm. This is their third matchup. I'm hoping it's the end too. I'd like to see Bobby Lashley go on to bigger things. I'd like to see him challenge Cody if Cody gets the championship. I could see him waiting wings. I feel like Bobby Lashley is a little underutilized with this feud here. I think he could be doing a little bit more. Brock is not a bad. He's a legend. He's not a bad guy to feud with, but I feel like he should be active towards some gold here.
I hear you. I think that Lesnar at this point, though, while he's a kind of a part-time legend, and he's still more than capable of having a really good to great match, I don't know if I ever need to see Lesnar carrying a championship again. I wouldn't hate it, but we've kind of been there, done that, where he felt like he had it for years, even though it wasn't nearly as long as Roman's reign, no pun intended. I think when you look at this match, though, it's just it's just alpha male versus alpha male. It's just these guys that are just superhuman strength versus superhuman strength, and they'll have I think a fine matchup. I hope this is the end and they don't go to WrestleMania and have their fourth matchup. I don't need to see the fourth matchup in any series at WrestleMania. So if it concludes and they booked it as the rubber match, that usually means it's the end. Then I don't know where Lesnar or Lashley go for WrestleMania. So we're kind of seeing a trend here of programs ending at Chamber, and that leaves, like as we just said, with Becky and Bayley and now Lashley and Lesnar open for WrestleMania. And I don't know where Lashley or Lesnar go for WrestleMania. There's rumors of Stone Cold versus Lesnar. I'm not saying that's impossible, but I don't know. I really don't know what Lashley and Lesnar do at Mania if they're not facing one another.
Yeah, and I hope this is the end of the feud as well. I don't see them go to WrestleMania. It's kind of, I guess it's going to be some type of gimmick match if they go, but I don't know what else they could do. I totally agree with that as far as feuding with each other goes.
Yeah, because by the fourth match, you've kind of seen everything that they can give. You've seen how they work. You know what kind of match you're going to get. It's not really exciting. The only thing they can do is, you said, add a gimmick, like loser leaves WWE kind of thing, which, they can't stick to more than a month with their own rules. But I think really that is certainly probably the only way they can go is some kind of massive stipulation, or maybe a massive guest referee, like maybe a legend returns to referee the matchup or something. I don't know. But again, The Elimination Chamber is going to be very telling. There's going to be so much that we're going to learn at Chamber. All right, let's move on. We got Piper Niven versus Michin. This was, as we mentioned earlier, I think off air, the Hulu version, as you and I both watched, did not include this match, I don't believe. So this is one of those you either have to read about it or watch it outside of Hulu. But we got the Piper Niven beating Michin in 2 minutes and 40 seconds here. Quick matchup. And Piper Niven, formerly known as Dewdrop, thank God she is no longer called Dewdrop. We got Piper Niven getting the victory. What did you make of this matchup?
You know, I had high hopes for Michin whenever she came in with the OC. I was hoping that it was just something different, maybe a strong, kind of female to give the roster a little boost. But it's like nothing became of her. And I really wanted to see more because her gimmick seems kind of cool. And, the team up with the OC, but it's just nothing's really happened with that. And the same with Piper Niven. I mean, she can go in the ring, and I feel like she should have more opportunities. Like, I actually would like to see her in the Elimination Chamber instead of Nikki Cross. I really have no interest in Nikki Cross. But it's just, I don't know. I just want to see new females in the title run. It just seems like the same women over and over. And it's just, there's so many women there that they could do so much with, and it's just not happening.
Well, so I'm with you. I'm totally with you on the whole. The women's division needs a refresh. I don't think it needs firings. And scarily, after WrestleMania, there's always that Black Wednesday, Black Tuesday, like a week or so after WrestleMania, where traditionally there are layoffs, and I think this year will be no different. I don't think it'll be on the scale that we saw a couple of years ago, where they literally let go like over 100 wrestlers and production team and all that. A lot of that had to do with the pandemic, but still. There were some massive names involved in that, including Bray Wyatt, including Braun Strowman and others. So hopefully we don't get that kind of a layoff cycle. I don't think we will here. But, my point is, I don't think that Piper Niven is on a bad track. I don't think that Michin's on a bad track. The problem is with what you just mentioned with women like Nikki Cross. I don't know anything about her anymore. I mean, she was the superhero gimmick, which was god awful, and she dropped that. And since it was god awful. I mean, it was almost like a last ditch desperation attempt to get some kind of notoriety before I get fired. I mean, it felt desperate. I hated it so much. But
it barely Molly Holly. So it's definitely
that's exactly what it was. It was a bootleg Molly Holly. Molly Holly at least did it with kind of it was almost. Molly Holly did it with charm, whereas Nikki Cross did it and it was cringy. It's just different. So with Molly Holly, or rather Nikki Cross, since she came back to this crazy gimmick, we literally, to my knowledge, have not heard her say a word about why she got rid of that gimmick, what she's thinking. I don't know anything about her anymore, other than just she's this crazy lady that has a crazy smile. That's it. Like, I don't know anything else. And I think the lack of character development with Nikki and with Piper Niven and with Michin, you don't get any mic time. It's really hard to develop character.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like that spot could have been given to one of those girls and at least give them a chance to cut a promo and at least try to say why they feel like they should be in the chamber. At least give them a little bit of a voice. Mm-hmm. I don't see. I see her as a spot filler. I don't see her winning that match at all. But I did like the heel turn with Asuka. I thought that was very interesting.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and we're going to certainly get to that. I'm with you on that. And Asuka is on. I think actually she is if you're going to look at favorites, she might be a favorite to win. Based on what we saw. Based on the fact that she hasn't been around in a while, she has a new look, she's kind of got a new fresh coat of paint. I would argue that, Asuka might be a favorite to win. But we're getting there. We're getting close. We're in the second hour of Raw here. We got an interview that Kathy Kelly was doing with Corbin, but as she was interviewing him, she interrupted and said that she just got word that something important was happening in the arena. And so we got Sami Zayn showing up in that black hood that he has now adopted. and we got a call out of Cody Rhodes. He said that he has something to say, and he needs to say it to his face, and he calls out Cody. He says, "I know you're back there." He asks him to come to the ring. Cody comes out, and he's, as always, dressed in his suit. And he always has to say, "What do you want to talk about?" I feel like he's trying to make that a thing, and it's not a thing. Like, stop trying to make that a thing. It's annoying. It's not cute. It's just like, dude, okay, like, it was funny the first time, but after the third or fourth time, he's trying to make fetch a thing, to quote a 2004 movie, Mean Girls. My guilty pleasure, guys. I love Mean Girls. I love that. Yeah, my wife makes fun of me. I love Mean Girls. It's one of my favorite movies, and whatever. I'm shameful. I'm shameless, I should say. But go ahead. Not about Mean Girls, but go ahead about this segment with Cody and Sami Zayn and the crowd reaction. Just take the floor on this one.
It felt like more Cody propaganda at first. But I did see an alliance forming, and I think that Sami Zayn is not going to walk out of the Elimination Chamber as champion, but I think he'll be the deciding factor in Cody winning the championship. I think that's what this alliance was for. Just somebody to have each other's back against the bloodline, because they really don't. I mean, we got Kevin Owens with Sami Zayn, but I mean, Cody's kind of out there alone. So I think he, is kind of making his own little alliance. But it's just, I like Cody. It just seems like they're pushing him on us so hard. And it's like he's a politician. Like, he's trying to convince us every week, hey, I'm a good guy. I'm going to win the championship and you're going to love me, And it's just like, I feel you, man. I feel you. But it feels very inorganic for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, without going down a rabbit hole, it's kind of true. Like, they had to start from scratch with Cody, where Sami Zayn was invested in the storyline for months and months and months, and he had been there years prior where Cody was gone, and he was, in trying to build AEW or, whatever. So, I mean, I think the fans, if they were going to be, if they are forced to choose, they will choose Sami Zayn over Cody Rhodes. So I'm with you that I think this was kind of a hint that Cody could help Sami on Saturday night, when inevitably the bloodline comes out to interfere to help Roman Reigns retain. I think Cody could be that equalizer. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. As well as Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes are both going to help Sami Zayn kind of negate Solo Sikoa, negate Jay and Jimmy Uso. I think Jay, by the way, is going to show his true colors. I think he is going to stay aligned with the bloodline. And then you're going to have essentially just Sami and Roman, and everyone else is kind of off brawling with each other. And that's when the real test is going to be, is Sami Zayn going to win here? Because now there's no bloodline. They've been neutralized. So, but I think this in-ring segment here, I really enjoyed it, because yes, there was some propaganda. Yes, Cody Rhodes has his annoying knacks and his language that doesn't need to be. He throws in like a big word every now and then, and I can't stand it because he does it. He sprinkles it in like he's trying to manipulate us, that he's smarter than he is or something. Like, I don't know. The babyface character gets under my skin so much. But I enjoyed the segment overall. I really enjoyed it because they had a mutual respect for one another. They were talking about how, the confidence of Sami Zayn. He knows that he could beat Roman. He knows that he could win the championship, but does he think that he's going to be able to Saturday night? He said, I don't know. So there's a confidence issue for Sami Zayn that was really well laid out in that segment.
And yeah, I mean, he knows the inner workings of the bloodline. So, I mean, it's very understandable why he's feeling the way that he feels. And I think that makes him even more endearing because he was very vulnerable. I mean, you don't really see too many guys challenging for belts that aren't boosting themselves up, to the crowd and letting them know, hey, I deserve to be here. I did this. Sami is just, he knows he's in a rough position. The bloodline plays very dirty. And I can definitely see this not going in his favor, But I think that the crowd is going to love him even more following the match. I think that he's definitely going to end up one-upping Roman. I mean, it's going to be a heck of a fight on Saturday night for sure.
It is, and you know what? I'm giving WWE credit here, the creative team credit, because I was of the belief that, based on historical precedent of the way WWE has booked under the Vince McMahon regime, that they would have kept Cody and Sami as far apart as possible. In this case, they didn't shy away from it. I predicted that they would, but they didn't. They put Cody and Sami in the exact same segment. They are now forever intertwined from now until WrestleMania, whatever happens. They did not shy away from putting Sami in front of Cody, and I think they used this as kind of a litmus test. How do the fans react? Do they boo one over the other? What are the chants like? What does the crowd do? I think they use Brooklyn, which is a huge market to WWE, New York City in general, wherever they go in New York, whether it's at Madison Square Garden or the Barclays Center. Go ahead.
They're very expressive. They're going to let you know how they feel. That crowd is very expressive.
Exactly. So I think that whatever they were kind of maybe thinking about doing was confirmed based on the crowd reaction. And I think what that is going to be, believe it or not, based on this segment, this has told me now that we are not going to be able to take Sami Zayn out of the main event of WrestleMania. I think that this segment has now confirmed for me that they perhaps have decided to go with Sami Zayn inside of the main event of WrestleMania in some kind of triple threat with Cody and with Roman. Otherwise, why would you have Sami out there with the guy that's going to be in the main event talking about how that they could be the ones, fighting for the championship, not Roman, and how, Cody hopes it's Sami that wins, and we're all hoping that Sami wins. So, I just, to me, the scales have really shifted on Monday night based on that. Otherwise, if you weren't going to have Sami in the main event at all at WrestleMania, you would keep him far away from this. You would have just not even mentioned his name, because then you're teasing something you can't deliver on.
That is true. I don't know how the crowd would handle a triple threat. I mean, I see where you're coming from, that they were kind of priming them to see how they would react, but I think we're going to see a heel turn from Cody shortly after.
Yeah. I think Cody Rhodes in 2023 will turn heel. Whether it happens because the fans just see through this just completely shallow babyface character finally, or the WWE does it manufactures the turn, I think we will see heel Cody. I think heel Cody is going to be more fun than this pandering babyface. Oh, my daddy, my dad, all this nonsense. It's laid on way too thick for me. I can't wait for it. That is, to me, is what's going to happen in 2023 with Cody. But as far as what the main event could be, honestly, I think Sami Zayn's now in the picture. Whether it's one-on-one with Cody and Roman is off doing something else, and what is that something else? I was hesitant to bring this up because this was swirling around forever, and then it got completely squashed. What if, after the bloodline, is neutralized by Kevin Owens and Cody, Sami looks like he's about to win. Roman pulls out brass knucks, lays out Sami, looks like he's going to retain, and then out comes The Rock. Costs Roman Reigns the championship. Sami Zayn is champion, and now Roman is out of the title picture, and it's Rock Roman for no championship at WrestleMania, which I like way better than with a championship. And then you have Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn facing one another for the Undisputed Championship. Just a thought that, while we all thought The Rock was out, perhaps that's not the case.
I mean, when is The Rock not in ring shape? I mean, this guy, he's always working out. He's always on top of his game. I kind of see that as a ploy. I could see him popping up, and I think that would be great. I mean, a battle for who is the actual head of the table. I mean, he could shut Roman down. I mean, he's definitely been in Roman's position before, and he excelled. So The Rock is the prototype for Roman. So who better for him to fight?
That's kind of the deal, right? You look at The Rock, and he's just look at him, and he's in the gym, 25 hours a day, and it's like, dude, how are you not in ring shape? But I do get, though, that not that I've ever competed in the ring, but I understand the mentality of there's gym shape and there's ring shape. Like you can kill yourself in the gym. You can work, till you're, you've collapsed in the gym, and that'll get you so far. It can get you at a high level, but being in the ring live, working with somebody is a different kind of in shape. It's much more cardiovascularly intense that you can't mimic in the gym. So I'm not saying that The Rock isn't in ring shape, or he is. I don't know, but he certainly is always, quote, in gym shape. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could be a viable excuse. I mean, he not old, but he is compared to some of the other competitors. I mean, like Stone Cold, I'm sure it took him a little while to get back in ring shape. So, I mean, the older you get, I'm sure the harder it is to keep up. So it's viable. But I would love to see that. I mean, there's a deeper story behind it than a championship belt. It's family honor, and it's The Rock betraying the family, basically. I mean, that's how Roman's going to see it. But I would love to see that. And it's definitely
it's like now or never. To me, it's now or never. Like, you're in Hollywood. You're the king of Hollywood. Roman Reigns has never been hotter. Both of you are not getting any younger, particularly The Rock. I mean, eventually even time's going to catch up with The Rock. So like, and he's running the XFL. Well, there's also rumors of him running for president in 2024. Whether or not he takes that, who knows? But like, his projects are not going to get fewer. They're probably going to increase. You're not going to have a better chance. The stage is set. It's WrestleMania. It's in the place that you are the king of in Hollywood. You have Roman at the top of his game. Everything is aligned. To me, it's now or never. It doesn't happen this year. I don't think it ever happens with Rock and Roman. So anyway, I'm not trying to start rumors. I know it feels like I'm starting a whole lot of them here on the show tonight, but I'm like coming up with this stuff. Guys, this is all in my head. I've heard nothing that is going to, manufacture itself. That, the things I'm saying in my head are just in my head. They're not out there on the websites. But, if you're going to have The Rock there, that's how you do it. You cost Roman the belt. And then Sami goes to the main event. You have an amazing wrestling match with Sami and Cody. Roman is amazing. He's not in the championship picture. It's The Rock and Roman, no belt, period. And I think that is the way you do it, if you're going to go that road. But all right, let's move on. We got a backstage segment here with Carmella, who asked Nikki where she'd been, and Nikki said she was playing hide and seek with her new friend. Okay, this was not on Hulu. I can confirm that. Carmella asked what a friend, and then spoke about their tag match and wondered where their partner was. Asuka showed up wearing a decorative mask, and Carmella called them both weird and then stormed away. All right, so this, was kind of, I don't know. I don't even really have much to say about this. It was to set up their match. There was a 6-woman tag team match later in the night. But the next segment was much more of substance, and that was the Baron Corbin interview that resumed with Kathy Kelly. And Corbin said he was better off without JBL and called him a washed-up has-been, and that he said that it's time to remind people of who he is. And Corbin said he's been sick and tired of being disrespected, and then pointed to Kelly, who interrupted him for Sami Zayn, and then started trashing Cody Rhodes, being number 30, being handed the number 30 spot, and started making fun of his family, his father, and that's when Cody, who was in the background, attacked Corbin. So what did you make of this segment?
I mean, it gave Cody a little bit of edge, but poor Corbin. I mean, nothing is sticking for him. And I don't know what to say about him. I mean, the JBL thing, it was not working. So I'm glad that they pulled the plug on that. But Corbin has had so many character changes and nothing is sticking. I did like Bum Corbin. And I kind of wish he would have hung around a little bit more. But he got beat up just to further the storyline. I mean, he was there. That could have been interchangeable with anybody. I mean, poor Corbin.
I have a soft spot for him, and I know I've been kind of trashing him, but with the JBL pairing. But it's not the effort. And I really on paper I see where this might be a good idea. You're putting a legendary heel with a current heel that maybe needs a little bit of the rub, and maybe the heat can transfer from JBL to Corbin. The problem was JBL was not good at transferring the heat, and it just didn't work. It's fine. I really have nothing bad to say about them together. Things sometimes just don't work. They gave it a real effort, and it didn't work. Fine. I really can't fault them for trying. And I think Corbin on the mic felt much more natural, talking about how he's feeling disrespected and all that. Corbin felt like he actually had a voice on Monday night, and he was involved in the most relevant segment he's been involved in like 12 months, even if it was just being beat up by Cody Rhodes. I'm with you that the bum Corbin was by far the most entertaining. I wish they'd bring back the white ketchup stained shirt. That was just a staple of his of his character at that time, and maybe he'll start growing his hair back, which was just hilarious to watch him grow his hair back. I can relate. I have the same exact haircut. If I didn't shave it, it would look ridiculous. So, but this ended in a match with Corbin and Rhodes. It was a 2-minute match, 2 minutes and 5 seconds to be exact. And we got Corbin obviously losing to Cody Rhodes here, and then he points to the WrestleMania sign, and he hits Crossroads and gets the victory. So, do you have any other thoughts on the Cody Rhodes and Corbin matchup?
I mean, it was a nice showing for Cody. I mean, you can't fault him for what he does in the ring. He's great in the ring. It's just they're pushing him to the moon, and it gets a little tiring. But outside of that, I mean, I thought it was a good showcase for Cody. He's got a little bit of edge to him. You're not going to talk about his daddy.
Right.
So.
And being able to compete in a suit. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was very impressive. Dress shoes.
Yeah, and dress shoes. Yeah, exactly. All right. The next matchup here, we got Asuka, Nikki Cross, and Carmella taking on Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Natalya. And it was played up as a Raw versus SmackDown match. This just goes to show you that, well, first of all, no fan in the world really cares about Raw versus SmackDown. There's no actual investment there. It's almost just like this kind of manufactured rivalry that, thank God, at Survivor Series has been completely nixed, but they brought it back here on a smaller scale, and it didn't really sit with me. I don't care about Raw versus SmackDown personally. There's no either way. I don't care. But this was more about the victory here, and that was Asuka, Nikki Cross, and Carmella beating Liv, Raquel, and Natalya in about 7 minutes or so. And this was, as you mentioned earlier, really about Asuka here, and Asuka just attacking everybody. I mean, she laid out everybody. She attacked both of her partners and then caught Morgan in a submission that ultimately led to the victory. What did you think about this? And that, like as you mentioned, the alleged heel turn by Asuka.
I thought it was a pretty good showcase of all the women. It was a pretty decent match. I do like where they're going with Asuka. I think that, like you said, like she is probably the top contender for the Elimination Chamber. I am a big fan of Raquel. I wanted her to be more developed as a character, her athleticism. I think that she could really be a threat for Bianca. It's just we don't know anything about her. She just smiles and flexes. But I enjoyed the match, and I enjoyed Asuka. I mean, she knocked out her whole team. Mm-hmm. I mean, she definitely let them know, what's going to go on in the chamber on Saturday. So I think they better be prepared for Asuka. I think she's going to be the biggest threat to them.
Well, no one's ready for her, apparently. But I think that, it also added this element of unpredictability to Asuka's character that we haven't seen before. And, typically you just kind of know what you get with Asuka. You know that, she's usually just a, kind of a stand-up, just kind of typical baby face, doesn't attack her partners. In this case, she did. And sure, it could be just framed in the spirit of Elimination Chamber where it is every woman for herself, right? Maybe that's the way that they're going to frame it instead of an actual heel turn that, well, she's just showing you what's going to happen at the Elimination Chamber. It's every woman for themselves. So we'll have to see on the follow-up if indeed it is a true heel turn. It's evidence for one, but the matchup that she's going into is also every woman for herself. So right now, I'll take it as a heel turn, but I want to see the follow-up. So, but yeah, I mean, Asuka going rogue and just destroying everyone was fun to watch. And she reminded you how good she can be, the strikes, how quick she can hit. She's a phenomenal wrestler. Like Asuka, I think she could probably in the next 6 to 12 months in 2023 again, I think she could easily be Raw Women's Champion, or if she goes to SmackDown Women's Champion. Asuka's champion, I feel like it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, she's very deserving. I could definitely see it for her.
All right, well, let's get to the next matchup, and that is, I'm pretty sure this also was not on Hulu, the Bronson Reed versus Mustafa Ali matchup. As expected, Bronson Reed wins in about 3 minutes against Mustafa Ali, and he hit his tsunami splash, which is his finish for the victory. And Bronson Reed kind of taken that vacant monster squash match role that was left vacant by Braun Strowman and others. So Bronson Reed, while he's not getting a ton of mic time, is continuing to beat talent quickly with his tsunami splash. It was fun. It was quick. I don't have much to say about this other than it's clear that they're trying to elevate Bronson Reed.
How do you feel about Mustafa Ali?
Yeah, that's the other side. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just was wondering what do you think about him? I feel like he's kind of in the Corbin position. Not quite with as many character changes, but he's just kind of there,
He's there, and then you feel like he's about to get into something relevant. He's going to do something important, and then he just loses and loses and loses, and then gets beat up backstage by Bobby Lashley and loses. So, and I really enjoy him on the microphone. I think he's underrated on the mic. I really like his mic work, and he's really good in the ring. But yet, every time he's in a matchup, as of the last 3-4 months, he's on the Chad Gable and Otis train. They never win, ever.
Yeah.
So... yeah, but hopefully they put him in some kind of role that doesn't allow him to just be like an in-house enhancement talent. And unfortunately, he's kind of filled that role. But I really enjoy Mustafa Ali. I mean, in terms of potential and what I've seen from him on the mic and in the ring, there's more there than meets the eye of just being an enhancement talent. So I feel for him right now. He's probably frustrated knowing how good he is and just having to look up at the lights every night. I bet you in real life he's frustrated. All right, let's get to, the Hour 3 opened with The Miz, and his guest was Seth Rollins. They focused on the Elimination Chamber, and Miz kept prodding Seth Rollins about Logan Paul. He kept pushing the envelope, trying to get into why Logan Paul, or rather Seth isn't talking about Logan Paul on TV or at wrestling events, and just talking about him on social media. And Rollins said that, he doesn't want to talk about that dumpster fire of a human being, and that he just wants to, Logan Paul that is, wants to just line his pockets, and he needs to just have his teeth kicked in. And Miz said he felt like Rollins was jealous, and that, that Rollins just is envious of Logan Paul's position. What did you make of this segment with Miz TV? It was a pretty lengthy segment. What did you think about this setup, this inevitable setup of Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania?
I think it'll be an interesting matchup. I kind of feel where Seth is coming from. It wasn't really earned. Logan Paul just kind of jumped in and the YouTube thing. And what I've seen from Logan Paul, he's very athletic, and he's pretty good. I would like to see the matchup for sure, but Miz, he can definitely poke and prod and get it out of you. But it was an interesting segment. Seeing Austin Theory show up, I wasn't quite ready for that.
Yeah,
he's came a long way from being Mr. Money in the Bank. He's definitely coming into his own, and that was really cool to see him kind of jump in and heat up the feud a little bit more. But it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Austin Theory and Rollins, I feel like are kind of looking in the mirror at one another. One's a little younger than the other, but I feel like their in-ring style is very similar. They work very well together. Austin Theory coming out and laying out Rollins is just payback for what Rollins did to him the previous week of stomping his head into the mat or on the outside of the ring. So I think that Austin Theory and Rollins I mean, you can plug and play that match anytime you want, and you know it's going to be great. But Rick Boog, or rather not Rick Boogs, that's the next segment. But this, just to kind of put a bow on this segment, they're clearly setting the stage for Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. Logan Paul has to be the heel here. I mean, if they can't even attempt to make Logan Paul the babyface. They tried at the beginning, even when he first came in, and people were like, "No, this dude is just oozing D-bag. I mean, just all over the place. Like, that's just who and what Logan Paul is, and that's an asset if you're looking to be a heel. And I think they're not trying to fight it anymore, so that's a good thing. The most over thing about this segment, though, might have been Seth Rollins' entrance music. I mean, Brooklyn sang his song like 3 or 4 times to the point of almost annoyance as an at-home fan. Like, and honestly, I don't know if Seth Rollins would be where he is in a babyface role if he didn't have that entrance theme. I really don't know, because I don't know what's more over, him or his entrance music that the crowd just cannot help themselves but sing along to.
Yeah, me and my daughter, we went to a house show 3 weeks ago in Pensacola, and he actually fought Cody Rhodes. And I think more people sang his song and were more into Seth than they were into Cody. Like, people love Seth. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, the whole arena was singing it. It was great.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, Seth Rollins, I keep saying it over and over, how he has not gotten an opportunity at the WWE Universal Championship is criminal. And he did at least mention it, that he's lost focus and that, he needs to be champion. I like how Seth Rollins mentioning that championship is it's encouraging. So that was nice to hear from Seth, although it's going nowhere probably until after WrestleMania. So, all right. Yeah.
Still on the rise for sure. But I think the star of the whole segment was the big red boots.
I was just going to, yeah, thank you, yes.
Stop in the boots. That was probably hellacious.
Where do you even buy, like, who sells something like that? I don't, my God.
Actually, designer. It's a thing.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
okay.
And I don't know why, but it is.
All right, I guess I'm just not up on the fashion. Yeah, I've got, I'm in full dad mode. Like I'm a pair of New Balance shoes away from being a full blown, dad mode. Okay.
Oh,
like
you have the jorts.
The
you
what?
Wear the jorts?
The jorts?
The jorts.
I actually, I don't know if I own a pair of jorts anymore. I used to own a pair of jorts. I think I'm still khaki, so I'm still like hanging on to a little bit of youth. Like I got the little bit of stylish khaki, shirt going on with the golf shirt, so I'm getting close though, and I feel the New Balance shoes like knocking on my door. And my buddy just got a pair of New Balance, and he's like, "I love them." I'm like, "No," so it's coming. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm in full mom mode. My outfit's not complete without drool, kind of like the Baron Corbin ketchup shirt.
The complete with drool. Yeah, that's a fun stage, and it's the most tiring and the most one that you'll miss the most, but the one you remember the least because you're so tired all the time. Oh boy. Okay, we've only got a couple of segments here left, and then we'll wrap it up. Rick Boogs versus The Miz happened. This was very quick. The Miz lost to Rick Boogs in, I think it was a minute or less. He hit the power press slam. The press power slam for the win. Boogs just basically hit his finish and left. So, any thoughts on Rick Boogs being back and just squashing The Miz?
I like his gimmick. I think it's very fun, but I just don't see anything outside of them feuding. I mean, he's a big guy. He's a fun character. So, I mean, we'll see, but I don't really know much about him besides he really likes air guitar. That's about it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. It's an interesting matchup. I mean, him and Miz kind of makes anybody look good because he's such a douche. So anybody beating him up is a plus in my book.
Yeah, and it's amazing that The Miz has been as successful as he's been, considering the fact that he hasn't changed anything about his character at all the last 6, 7, 8 years. Nothing from his look, his hairstyle, his entrance music, the Miz TV segment, like nothing has changed at all with the Miz, and yet he's still able to generate heat. I mean, that's a compliment.
Yeah, it's all natural. He's a douche.
And we mean that in the best way, right? So
we mean it in the best way.
Oh my gosh.
It's very fitting. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, the main event here, we kind of already touched on it a little bit here, but the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair took on Becky Lynch and Bayley in a triple threat non-title match. As we know, if Lynch or Bayley won, they'd earn a spot in the chamber match. They didn't, but the matchup was, I mean, I think it was almost 15 minutes or so. It was long, maybe longer than 15 minutes. It felt like a very long main event. That's not a bad thing. These three women are, I mean, ultra talented, and anytime you get to see them, you know, in one-on-one versus or triple threat or whatever combination you have, it's always fun to watch. And I think the matchup was really good. I had no complaints about the matchup itself. I mean, it got a little convoluted when we got, you know, Liv Morgan and Asuka, Natalya, and Raquel Rodriguez, and it got a little bit convoluted, but ultimately we did get Bianca Belair getting the victory in this match, which, again, surprised me, and it's going to have the Elimination Chamber sticking with the 6 women's wrestlers. It would have been weird if they added more and kind of breaking the mold, but I don't know. We kind of talked about earlier what the path for Bianca, or rather for Bayley and Becky, could be towards WrestleMania. But what did you think of this kind of lengthy main event of Raw?
I enjoyed it. I felt like there was a time where there wasn't much Becky. I don't know if she got laid out for a minute. It was like it was a chunk of that where it was just like Bayley and Bianca one-on-one. But man, I am tired of Damage Control every match. Like, it's just kind of, it's getting into, like, the bloodline territory. Like, you know, somebody's going to jump in and something's going to happen. But it was cool to see all the women come out and kind of even out the odds. But I'm kind of glad Bianca won. I didn't really want to see them in the chamber. I mean, both of them had so many opportunities. I would love to see new women characters jump in and just kind of shake up things a little bit. But I did enjoy the match. I mean, anytime the three of them are together, it's a banger. So
after banger, yes. God, no, I'm with you about, again, circling back to what we started this conversation with the whole, you know, the WWE Women's Division needs an injection of new talent or shake up or something. I think, sure, a draft could help, right? Like, if they keep the same players but shake things up and have some people on SmackDown come over to Raw or vice versa, that could help in the short term. That'd be a short-term fix. But the real fix is, of course, creating new stars, but bringing in new, fresh talent, even if it's a handful, 5 or less from NXT or elsewhere, it doesn't have to be just from NXT, would really help the women's division. I think that could absolutely help, because having Becky and Bayley in that chamber match, it would have been kind of like, cool, they're big stars, but we've been there, done that. We've seen them face Bianca one-on-one. Both of them have faced Bianca one-on-one multiple times. And it would have felt kind of like, oh, here we go again. It's history repeating itself. Doesn't look like it's going to be a whole lot of fun. This is a much more, I think, it's a signal that it's not going to be the same in terms of the same faces in the main event all the time. I think that's kind of the message here of, wait, Becky and Bayley aren't going to be in the chamber? They're not going to be involved in the title match at Mania? What are they going to do? That means we're going to have maybe somebody new face Bianca, and I think WWE is recognizing that.
How long do you think Bianca's going to hold on to the title? Like, be much longer for her? She's had quite a reign. I mean, early WrestleMania predictions here. Again, it's hard to predict given we don't know who her opponent is or opponents are for WrestleMania. But if I was to make a long-term shot guess right now in the dark, I think she turns heel at Mania and retains, or she loses and then is a sore loser and attacks the new champion. I think Bianca Belair as a heel is a lot of fun because she's already a heel. It's just masked with charm. I mean, I've said that before. Like her gimmick of being the best and the fastest and strongest. Like, how is that not the epitome of arrogance
and yet she's somehow been able to charm us all into believing it's not a heel gimmick. It's really quite talented. It's quite amazing she's been able to do that.
You know, she's going to break a couple little girls' hearts when she turns heel, but I'm ready to see it. I'd love to see it. I think it's
yeah.
It would be really interesting. I was kind of disappointed with Rhea not challenging her. That just I could see her reasons for Charlotte, but I really would have loved to see Rhea and Bianca. I think that matches athleticism. I think that they are a far better match than her and Charlotte.
100%. And you know, time will tell. Maybe Rhea and Charlotte will knock it out of the park and they'll have, you know, this 5-star classic. Maybe they will. They're capable of it. Both women are, you know, certainly ultra athletic and experienced and, you know, all that. And Rhea has finally found herself in this excellent mommy gimmick. Love it. I mean, she's finally feeling comfortable. It's excellent to see. But right, like Bianca and Rhea seems on paper like a much better matchup, and really I've seen them face each other before. It's excellent to watch, and it's new and it's fresh at Mania. Whereas Rhea and Charlotte, even if they put on a good match, it's like we've seen this just a few years ago and we're going back to it again. You know, and I also think there's a chance that the fans turn on Charlotte and cheer Rhea because Rhea's kind of the shiny new toy. People love what Rhea's doing, and they've seen Charlotte as champion a zillion times. So I think people are actually going to be clamoring for kind of that new blood to come in and also show the respect to Rhea and show the appreciation of how good and how fun this new character is. And I think there's a real chance of that happening.
Yeah, I actually was going to mention that to you, the We Want Mommy chants during the Priest and Balor versus the Street Profits. I mean, whenever I went to the show, I had on a Rhea Ripley shirt. Like, I'm a Rhea Ripley fan. So to me, she's kind of in that Seth Rollins territory where she's teetering on heel, but she's really loved. And I can't wait to see her win the championship. It's very deserved. But I just would have liked to see her and Bianca a little bit more, which I'm sure they'll cross paths eventually. So.
And I think maybe that's why they went also with Rhea and Charlotte, is because they don't want to take the belt off Bianca, and they also want Rhea to win a belt. So if they don't want to take the belt off of Bianca and they want to crown Rhea Ripley, well, you can't have, you know, conflicting goals there. Something has to give. But with Charlotte dropping a belt, like, no one cares if Charlotte drops a belt. She's dropped it 13 times before. She's a 14-time champion. What the hell's a 14th time? Who cares? So no one's going to shed a tear or really care as much if Charlotte drops a belt. Whereas if you have bigger plans for Bianca, like I said, turning heel at Mania, then I can see why they did what they did. But as you said, she may break some hearts, but that's what they thought with Bayley when she was the ponytailed, you know, or the pigtailed Bayley buddy character that so many little girls looked up to, and they shattered all their hearts, and they're still, they're still doing okay. I mean, she'll break some hearts, but that's kind of the point. You know, that's kind of the point, to be that kind of a just low life that people get emotionally invested and want to see somebody take you out. I mean, that's at the core what makes wrestling great.
But, you know, I kind of wonder if it's going to be like the Becky Lynch heel turn versus her going right back to the man gimmick like we talked about earlier. Like, could you kind of see that with Bianca? Like, it just not necessarily working and circling right back to the Becky character?
I'm going to say no, only because the Becky turn, if we're comparing it to that, was years of built-up frustration of her being misbooked, misused, never champion, always kind of bridesmaid, never the bride. Whereas Bianca has been in the main event of WrestleMania 2 years in a row now and won the championship in the main event of WrestleMania 2 years in a row. I mean, so, like, it's different with Becky back in SummerSlam of, 2018 or 7, whatever it was, that started the whole man gimmick. It's a little different. I think Bianca turning heel, people have had enough time to, you know, cheer Bianca. They respect her ability and all that, and I think it's been enough time where people are ready to see a different version of her and see what that heel character could look like. So I don't think it'll be as, you know, it won't elicit the opposite reaction of what they're trying to do, I don't think, if they set it up right, you know. But I'm not saying it won't happen. It's just not as high of a chance, like, compared to the Becky scenario.
Yeah.
But cool. Well, did you have any final comments on Raw? Anything I missed or that you wanted to mention?
No, I kind of hate that I missed the Boogs segment. How do you say did I say his name right?
Rick Boogs?
Yeah, Rick Boogs. I hate I missed his segment. I kind of wanted to see him and the Miz because there was a little bit of build up to it. But man, Hulu, they must cut out a lot of stuff. Like I didn't realize I missed that, but
yeah,
with the build up with the Miz, it kind of would have been nice to see. But
for that 1 minute match, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't miss much for it to be short-lived, so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you can always catch the extra stuff. Even WWE puts out their kind of highlights of Raw, and it'll be captured in there, or even on their Twitter feed, they'll put on stuff that you don't see on Hulu. So, I mean, there's tons of places to catch it, but Hulu is the most condensed version. And I mean, I really don't know how people watch on a weekly basis 3 hours plus commercials. I don't get it. I don't know how you guys do it. God bless you. I mean, I love wrestling, but I mean, the Hulu version has been a godsend for me. So, cool. Well, Jamie, this has been so much fun. Is there anything before we go that you wanted to mention or plug or any of your social media? You don't have to, but this is the opportunity if you wanted to.
No, I'm just grateful for you having me on. I'm just a mom that loves wrestling, and it's just something that I've enjoyed since I was a kid. So it's really nice to be able to have a forum to talk about it, and we can agree to disagree, which I really like about your show.
I love that. Yeah.
It's been awesome talking to you, and thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate it. Sounds like you've got a little one to take care of, so I will let you go, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the support, and I hope you enjoy the chamber, and we'll be talking soon.
That sounds great. Have a good night. Enjoy the chamber.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.